Hello friends. In the previous video we saw how to create a virtual machine on Microsoft Azure. So in this video we are again going to create a virtual machine but on Amazon Web Service instead of Azure. One advantage of using AWS over Azure is that the free tier, the trial version exceeds to 1 year in AWS compared to 1 month of Azure. So if you are new to virtual machine and you want to evaluate your options, so AWS will give you a trial period of 1 year. Obviously, there are some limitations. So let's just dive into it. So this is the portal of AWS. So the virtual machine in AWS is known as EC2, Elastic Compute 2. So if you go in services under compute section, you will find EC2. Okay, so this is how the EC2 dashboards looks like. So you need to click on launch an instance. So as we seen in Azure, even in AWS also there are multiple distribution of OS that you can select from. Uh, there are some distribution that are free tier and there are some distribution that are paid. So there are many other things or other distributions which are not listed here, but you can click in AWS Marketplace and you can find many other distributions like here. I mean, there's a different categories of that. You can even search for it. I mean, here you go. So for the for quick start, we'll just deploy Amazon Linux AMI. Now this is the section where we want to select the size of the EC2. So only T2.micro is free tier eligible. Rest of are chargeable. So we'll just stick to the free tier version. It gives and single core of CPU and 1 GB RAM. So click on the next. Now this is the number of instance that you want to deploy. Now in free tier we are allowed to deploy monthly instance of seven close to 740 hours. So you can deploy two instances at a time, but the total compute time should be less than the permitted uh, free tier limit. So ideally you should be able to run a single instance completely throughout the month. So we'll select the number of instance only one. And in network, this is by default it will be in default VPC. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. So for now, let's just skip that part aside. That's a whole new thing. In subnet, these are the availability zones that you need to select. Now, it is advantageous to select no preference. I mean, the AWS will select any one of the three. Depending upon your region, there may be two or one or three, as many availability zones possible. In auto assign IP, use the subnet setting enable. Okay, IAM role, let it be none for the time being. Now, shutdown behavior is what happens to when you stop the instance. Now, there are either stop or terminate. Terminate means it will delete your instance completely. So all the data that have been stored that has been, you won't be able to access it once you restart your instance. So shutdown behavior, let it be stop. Now protect against accidental termination. I mean this you can click if you are don't want your data, you don't want your instance to accidentally terminate. But for the time being, let's keep it as it is. Add storage. Now this is the by default 8 GB instance. You can add up to 30 GB of SSD. So for the demoing purpose, let 8 GB is sufficient. And next, add tags. Tags are useful when you have multiple instances and you want to know, let's say if you have 100 instances and you want to know which instance is responsible for what, then you can add tag for each individual instance. Since we are going to create only one instance, it doesn't make sense to create a tag for it. Okay, now this is some security group configuration. Now this is where you need to define from which IP you can log in. You can select my IP, so it will automatically detect your system, your network IP, and it will configure to accept connection only from this IP. And if you want to add any custom IP, you can add a custom IP. If you want to add multiple IPs, then you can select add a group, then again select SSH and give more IPs. For now, I would say anywhere, so is that it all the IPs are eligible to access this instance. So I'll click review and launch. Okay, we'll just review it. That's it. Let's launch it. Now, similarly, in how we saw in Azure, we need to have an SSH keys. Here also, there's a similar concept. You need to create a new pair of keys. Let us say AWS keys. This is only download the key pair option comes only once. So make sure you download it because after this, when you close this or launch the instance, you cannot see the key. You cannot download the key. Okay, so you can see the key is downloaded. We'll see launch instance. Your instance are now launching. Okay, just see view instance. So you can say this is the instance that is being initialized now. Okay, so looks like our instance is now running. Okay, so now we need to figure out a way how to connect it using putty. So if you click on connect, you will have basically almost the same process. So this is the host name that we put in the putty. Before that, we need to create a ppk keys. For that, we need to use puttygen using this key. So I'll just get down to that. Where's the puttygen? Now, I think it was AWS keys. Um, Now we need to save with a private key. Yes. AWS private keys. Probably I'll save it in desktop. Okay. Now I'll open the putty. Now if you see connect, then this is the host name that we need to copy. And similarly, we need to add the key in the connections, then in SSH, then in auth, we need to add that key. Desktop, AWS private keys. So for the first time, it will give some security alert. So click yes. So there you go. We have successfully logged in into our VM through putty. You can do a lot of things. Oh, sudo. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for watching.